to be performed.
Sentenced to die. The final verdict is in for Dylan Roof, who gunned down 9 people inside a Charleston church. Roof will go to death row. The admitted racist and convicted murderer acted as his own attorney in the sentencing phase. Speaking to the jury, he did not offer apologies and refused to argue that he was insane back in June 2015 when he walked into a Bible study and killed 9 African-American churchgoers. He told jurors, "There is nothing wrong with me psychologically." Many of the victims' families walked out in disgust. Prosecutors asked for the death penalty, pointing to a jailhouse journal Roof wrote 6 weeks after the murders. Quote, "I have not shed a tear for the innocent people I killed."
The United States has added a son of Al-Qaeda founder Osama Bin Laden to its counterterrorism blacklist. The State Department named Osama Bin Laden as a specially designed global terrorist. It essentially means that any of his assets under U.S. jurisdiction will be frozen, and American citizens will be forbidden to deal with him.
Terrorists have once again struck Egyptian forces in Sinai. A suicide attacker in a garbage truck filled with explosives targeted a security post. That blast killed at least 9. Right after the bombing, militants in black masks fired rocket-propelled grenades at the troops around the checkpoint. The onslaught bore all the hallmarks of the Islamic State in Egypt, which has carried out scores of similar attacks in the Sinai Peninsula.
It's a sign of the times. At the changing of the guard ceremony at Buckingham Palace these days, the Queen's guards need guarding by police officers who are dressed to kill. At the palace, at the train station, on the street. Things have come a long way from the way they used to be.
The British policeman does not carry a gun. A truncheon is his only weapon of defense.
Not anymore. At least not for about 10% of the force now trained to carry arms, a number the government wants to increase. Which is why Ken Marsh of the Police Officers Federation is polling its members on whether they want to carry guns.
I think the danger's very clear. If we carry guns, then those out there will carry guns and be more likely to use them.
Yet recent truck attacks on the outdoor market in Germany, and before that in France, showed that police with guns can stop terrorists, if in both cases, not soon enough. Britain too has endured its own terror attacks, producing their own outcry for more protection. This is an argument between the way Britain imagines it used to be and the way it is now. And that way it's like most places, complicated and sometimes dangerous and violent. Is there a part of you that's sad to have to do this?
There is, because when I joined the police, I never thought all those years ago I'd be having this sort of conversation. But as you quite rightly said, times have changed, society's changing, the world is changing, and we've got to act upon that.
Even at the palace.
Traffic.
I would say here in Denver and Colorado, it can be pretty bad. It has gotten worse in the last few years. We do love our cars.
Traffic here and across the world can be frustrating and deadly. Globally, nearly 3,300 people on average are killed on roads and highways each day.
If we can save 80% of those lives, reduce the collisions, the lost revenues, the time spent as a result of those accidents, that's huge.
The key to reaching that goal, many road planners say, is removing humans, the cause of many of those accidents, from the traffic equation. The Colorado Department of Transportation and Japan's Panasonic Corporation are teaming up on a plan.
We're taking the first programmatic approach to a connected vehicle platform.
In today's new digital world, what if you didn't need to build a new highway lane with asphalt? What if all you needed was data?
A new smart highway system will allow cars to receive real-time cellular, radio, and roadway sensor data, as well as share information with each other about traffic conditions. The goal is a smoother flow of cars and trucks, less erratic driving, fewer crashes, much less stop-and-go traffic.
Too close, too fast, taking the curve too hard, all of those things that along that corridor cause those fender benders and bump ups would be essentially eliminated.
Panasonic's Jared Wentz says all of Colorado will be covered by the program, which he admits involves lots of technologies and moving parts.
Paving the road while you're driving on it is probably the most difficult task.
I really think that
This rideshare enthusiast worries that cars already get too much attention.
you're not doing anything to solve congestion if you have the same amount of cars that are just driven by nobody instead of driven by somebody.
But advocates for this transportation platform say autonomous vehicles, along with ride sharing, will be the future soon. And they say this will only increase highway capacity.
Our job is to keep the people of Colorado as safe as we possibly can, and we are completely convinced that this technology is going to do that for us.
The technology is sound, they say.
I have zero concern about it working.
I have no doubt whatsoever.
Colorado hopes to roll out its smart highway by 2020 and expects other U.S. states to follow. Hendrik Sabrandi, CGTN, Denver.
Speaker of the House Paul Ryan says defunding Planned Parenthood will be a priority this year. He made the promise after the release of a House investigative report on the abortion giant selling baby body parts for profit. Pro-life activist Dr. Alveda King says the report's call to regulate the industry is long overdue.
If we can get regulations for the abortion industry, the same thing that you have from a dentist, or if you have to go and get something minor, such as getting your ears pierced or something like that, those types of facilities have to be regulated. And yet for years and years, people have turned a blind eye to regulating abortion mills. And at that same time, there were little bags going out the door in containers, in boxes that were carrying the bodies of our little babies. So there have to be regulations.
We had a chance to speak to Lila Rose, the CEO of Live Action, who's going to be right in the thick of things when it comes to this pro-life fight in D.C., on the Hill, and within and part of that Trump administration. Have a look at our interview. Lila Rose here, president and founder of Live Action. Hello, Lila.
Hi, David. How are
Great
you?
to see you. We're
Good to
just
see you
good
too.
friends, are we not?
Yes, of course.
Let me get your take on the Trump administration. They're coming in. Are you hopeful? Where are you on the 1 to 10 meter here with Trump?
Well,
how do you feel?
I think when it comes to life, we could have the 10, the clear path to complete redirection of the government funding of taxpayer money away from the biggest abortion provider. Planned Parenthood is killing over 320,000 kids a year. They're getting over $500 million a year. So the fact that Trump has said he would defund Planned Parenthood, and we have the House and the Senate with pro-life, staunch pro-life leaders in both, it's possible now, and the job needs to be done.
What's it going to take to defund Planned Parenthood? How heavy of a lift is this going to be, or is it a little bit easier than people think? Because they're, not to get into the weeds and budget reconciliation, but I mean, there is a path here, right? And what is the path?
The path is totally there. So we have a majority in the House. Actually, last year, the House and the Senate passed a reconciliation spending bill that got to the president's desk, to President Obama's desk, that didn't include 80% of funding for Planned Parenthood.